Okay, listen, you want to know why Gen X always seems like we're on edge? We seem perpetually poised to face whatever life throws at us with this mix of cynicism and dark humor. We've survived more changes than a chameleon at a rave, and that's saying something. So let's start with technology. I mean, today's tech problems with endless updates and confusing settings, they are nothing compared to what we went through. Remember dial-up internet? That screeching, buzzing sound that signaled the start of your long wait to connect to the World Wide Web. We'd click connect and hope no one picked up the phone to make a call because that would throw you offline instantly and screw up the downloading of that single song on Napster that would sometimes take hours to complete. We had to plan our internet time like a military operation. You kids today with your 5G and fiber optics, you've got it easy. You wonder why Gen X is so resilient? It's because we were the latchkey kids before there were latchkey kids, before it was a term that anybody used. Our parents were often working, and we learned to take care of ourselves. We'd come home to empty houses, make our own snacks, do our own homework, and entertain ourselves until our parents returned. There was no babysitters, no after-school programs, just us and the key to the house hanging around our necks. And entertainment. You think navigating streaming services is confusing? Try finding that movie at Blockbuster on a Friday night. The aisles are packed with desperate souls looking for that one copy of the latest release, and then the horror of realizing that it was already out. But then there was the joy of discovering that hidden gem in the back of the shelves. It was like a roller coaster of emotions that made us appreciate every film we ever got our hands on. And don't get me started on them late fees, because that would completely ruin your weekend. Why are Xers so independent, some of you might ask? It's because we had to fend for ourselves. Between the episodes of the A-Team and MacGyver, we learned to solve problems with whatever we had on hand. We didn't have Google to answer our questions or smartphones to distract us. We had to be resourceful. Our heroes made us believe we could get out of any situation with just a bit of duct tape and a paperclip. You guys think fashion today is weird? We survived parachute pants, neon everything, and mullets. Our fashion sense was definitely a colorful explosion of styles and trends that, looking back, they seemed more like they were a dare than a choice. We experimented with looks that should never have worked and often didn't. But we wore them with pride. It was this time of bold statements and wild creativity, and it shaped our approach to life. We learned that sometimes you have to take risks, even if they don't always pay off. And skeptical of authority? Of course we are. We grew up in the shadow of scandals like the Watergate and Iran-Contra and all the other nonsense. Our childhoods were definitely marked with the distrust of the government and the institutions. And we saw our leaders fall from grace and learned that those in power could not be trusted. It made us question everything, and that trait has definitely served us well through our adult lives. And then you wonder why we're always so busy, why we're always multitasking. We had to master the art of doing homework while listening to our mixtape. These tapes were painstakingly recorded from the radio or borrowed albums. They were our lifeline. We learned to juggle tasks and manage our time because there was always something else to do, something else to listen to. Our minds are wired to handle multiple streams of information because that's just how we grew up. Find one of us, ask us, why is a Gen X so adaptable? We've seen more technology shifts than any other generation. We went from rotary phones to smartphones, from typewriters to laptops. Each new device brought a learning curve, and we had to adapt quickly. We didn't have the luxury of growing up in a single tech era. We beamed through them all, and each one has definitely left its mark. And binge watching is not a new phenomenon. Please. We invented it with VHS tapes of our favorite shows. We recorded episodes of The Simpsons or Friends, and we'd watch them back to back until tapes wore out. Especially if you were a big Trek kid and had a VCR, you record them and you would watch them over and over and over again. There was no streaming. There was no instant access. We had to work for our entertainment, and when we got it, we devoured it. And that, my friends, is why we are always on edge. We've been through the ringer. We've come out the other side with a smirk and a playlist of 80s hits. We're the generation that's seen it all, from the rise and fall of cassette tapes to the dawn of the internet. We've navigated more cultural shifts than any before us, and we've done it with the resilience and a sense of humor that is uniquely and branded as ours. We're always ready for that next curveball, because we've had a lifetime of practice. We've learned to adapt, to question, to survive. We're Gen X, and we're still standing. So next time you see one of us with that look of weary amusement, know that it comes from a place of experience. We've seen the world change in ways that are hard to imagine, and we've rolled with every punch. That's why we're always on edge and why we wouldn't have it any other way.